portion, but today is a special day in the Jewish calendar. Today is the day of the 17th of Tammuz. It's a fast day, which means that I have not eaten or drank since this morning. And in 7 minutes, I will be able to eat or drink. So I'll have my glass of water or maybe a cup of coffee while everything is going on. But as I said, I want to talk about this day, this special day, um, when again, what happened on that day, why do we fast, and should we still fast today? So that's the 17th of Tammuz. Georgie, I see your
Yeah,
hand is up.
I'm reminded with the Islamic type of fasting that they
Right,
also.
right, right. That is correct. The Muslims also, when they fast during the month of Ramadan, they start at dawn and they finish at night. Now, think about it. I'll combine between what you had to say and where Suzanne lives. Think of the Muslims living in Northern Europe, where sometimes if Ramadan falls in the summer and they live in Iceland or Norway or they don't have much night because then they have to fast for maybe 20 hours out of 24 hours for a month, or sometimes even more. And it's a very interesting question in Islamic law. Again, I'm not an expert on Islamic law, but Muslims did not live in Northern Europe, never. So now, when you have Muslim communities in areas like Iceland, it's a big question how they fast during the month of Ramadan. Okay, because they have a whole month of that kind of fasting from the morning to the to all the way to the night. So it's a good question for Muslims what they do. There was also an interesting question about fasting in special places around the world. Uh, During the Second World War, some of the Jewish communities of Eastern Europe fled further eastern to China, okay, and even across the international date line. And they had the Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, coming, and they were considering what day should they fast, because past the international date line, it could be a different day. So should they fast on the same day as in Europe or in Israel, or should they fast one day earlier? Very interesting. Or should they fast for 2 days? And that's a 25-hour fast. It's not a like dawn to dusk or dawn to night. It's a fast that starts the evening before. So should they, for those of them who are able to do that, should they fast for 49 hours? Okay, and it's not just not eating. Fasting in Judaism is also not drinking. So it's a big question, a big interesting issue. And as you can see, it crosses religions. It can be in everyone fasting could have these interesting questions. So let's talk a little bit uh, about the Pinchas, which is the weekly portion, and then we'll talk about the 17th of Tammuz. So Pinchas is part of the book of Numbers, okay, and it has several issues. You remember that the previous portion, the portion of Balak, ended up with the sin of the Israelites with the daughters of Moab, and how they followed the daughters of Moab and started worshiping one of the idol worshiping practices of Baal Peor. And we've ended the description of the previous portion by Phineas killing one of the noblemen of the tribe of Simeon, who was and his Moabite lady, okay. And in the beginning of our chapter, okay, our portion, God is giving Phineas the covenant of peace, I'm giving him my covenant of shalom. It's very interesting that the person who acted violently is blessed with peace. Maybe God thinks he needs that peace. You know, even though God appreciates it, he wants, prefers peace. Anyway, there is a war against the Midianites, for they have instigated the what led to the epidemic that followed the worshiping of Baal Peor. Afterwards, we have the division of the land of Israel to the different people according to the different lands, the different tribes, and the very famous story about the daughters of Zelophehad. Zelophehad was dead, and he didn't have any male children. He only had female children. He only had daughters. And they said to Moses, okay, why should we not get to inherit our father's land? And Moses didn't know what to say. So he said to them, listen, you know, let's see what God says. And then God says that women could inherit their fathers if he doesn't have sons. So that's about the story. Very well liked story by everybody in modern times. You know, showing this as an interesting story. And one of the names of the five daughters of Zelophehad is very important to me specifically because it is Noah, which is my wife's name, named after one of these, and the most popular name for girls in Israel, by the way, for a long time. Moses is appointing, God is telling Moses to appoint Joshua as his successor. Okay. And we also have in our portion a lot of these description of each of the sacrifices and the sacrifices that should be sacrificed in each and every of the special holidays. So that's basically what we have during the this parasha, this portion. But as I said, I wanted to focus on today on the 17th of Tammuz. So let me share this. Okay, 17th of Tammuz. And let's see this. Okay, so as I said, the 17th of Tammuz is a fast day. Okay, it's a fast day in which we commemorate not one thing, but actually more than one thing. And let's start by looking at the Mishnah in the tractate of Ta'anit. We already remember what is the Mishnah, right? But I'll briefly remind ourselves. The Mishnah is the project, the first legal thematic Jewish codex, okay, organized according to orders and tractates. And in the tractate of Ta'anit, which is literally a fast day, it describes what happened in the 17th of Tammuz, which is today. By the way, it is also the Hebrew date for you Americans. Some of you are Americans, you would be interested to know that it is the Hebrew date for the foundation of the United States in the year 5,538, according to Jewish tradition. On the 17th day of Tammuz, the United States was founded. So you remember it as 4th of July, 1776. And we also recognize it as the 4th of July, 1776. But the Hebrew date for that would be 17th of Tammuz, 5,538. I'm sure you couldn't sleep until now. You know, now you know it. You can rest. You can fall asleep tonight. Okay, so let's start by reading this, and this is from the Mishnah Ta'anit. Don't be shy. Let's hear someone reading. Let's see your hands. I want to hear people I haven't heard for a while. Elliot, I haven't heard you reading for a while. Go ahead. If you're not too embarrassed or at work or something.
No, I'm actually driving, but let's see here.
Driving? No, no, no! Don't read! Don't read! Don't read! I'm not taking it upon myself. Please don't read and drive.
No, no, no. I just pulled up, so I'll go ahead.
Okay, okay, okay.
Let's
The
see.
Bible police pulled you over so you could read, right?
Right on.
Right.
Hamisha Devarim excuse me, Erahu, It, Avotenu, Beshiva'ah, Asar, excuse me, Betamuz, let me move it here, sorry. The Hamisha, Betish'ah, Be'av, Beshuvah, Asar, Betamuz, Nish.
Okay, just a second. Just a second. So let's just translating. 5 things happened to our forefathers on the 17th day of Tammuz, and 5 happened on the 9th of Av. There is a period of 3 weeks exactly between the two, between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av. And let's see the 5 things that happened. We will read the 5 things and possibly explain quickly, but we'll focus on 2 of them, 2 that are more biblical, and then we'll also hopefully get to talk about the question of fasting or not fasting, and we'll see that this is already a biblical question. Already in the biblical times, people asked, should we fast or should we not fast on this date? Okay? Very good. So let's see what the 5 things that happened on 17th of Tammuz. Let's, guys, I want to see hands. I want to tell you that you better put your hands up, but because I'm probably going to call upon someone who doesn't have his hand up. Don't be shy. Come on. Still shy. You know, the tractate of Avot tells us something very, very important. The tractate of Avot says, and I'll quote in Hebrew and then I'll explain, Lo habayshan lamed velo hakapdan melamed. The bashful cannot be a good student, and the ill-tempered cannot be a good teacher. So, come on, don't be shy. So, Jean, can you read starting this? Oh, okay, Elliot, you're reading. Oh, okay, so Jean, you have to unmute the microphone, otherwise we cannot hear you.
Beshiva Asar Batamuz Bishtaberu Haluhot.
Okay, בשבעה עשר בתמוז נשתברו הלוחות. Right, on the 17th day of Tammuz, the tablets were shattered. Anyone ask themselves, when did the tablets shatter? We all remember the tablets shattering.
The golden tablets.
Right, no, not the golden tablets. The tablets that Moses brought from God on Mount Sinai. They were
when Aaron
so any of us asked ourselves, what was the date? So this is the date. This is the day in which, according to the Jewish calendar, the tablets broke. So one of the reasons for us fasting on this day is that the tablets broke. Let's see the rest of these events. Nancy, please. By the way, I want to show you the beautiful cup of coffee that I got. Right.
Enjoy.
So, Nancy.
Is it, okay, Uvatal? Is that where we are?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Uvatal Hatamid, they Huth Ka'av,
V'huv ke'ah.
they Hu Ka'av,
No. V'huv ke'ah. It ends with a vowel, not with a consonant.
Ka'ah,
Right?
Ha'ir, Vesaruf,
No, the saraf.
Vesaraf, Ostomos,
As you can see, that's not a Hebrew name. Apostomos.
okay. Et ha-Torah, they ha-Mid, Selem,
Telem.
images, idol, they ha-Kal,
Baheichal. Right. So the first thing we've talked about, that's the breaking of the tablets. And then Batal HaTamid, the Tamid, the daily offering was canceled. By the way, the instructions for this daily burnt offering is mentioned in several places in the Bible, in the Torah. Specifically, it is also mentioned in our weekly portion, the portion of Pinchas. So kind of a connection between the two. The weekly portion, the portion of Pinchas in the book of Numbers, tells us that we should do it daily. And on that day, 17th of Tammuz, they stopped sacrificing the offering, this daily offering. V'huv ke'ah ha'ir, the walls of the city were breached. You can see the passive huv ke'ah, the huf al, third person feminine singular form of the huf al. And so you can see how your biblical Hebrew knowledge, can help you with reading the Mishnah. Again, this is the Mishnah. This is post-biblical Hebrew, but you can still see that it makes sense, right? Batal, saraf, third person masculine singular of the kalkatal. Sorry. And huv ke'ah ha'ir, the city was breached. The saraf apostomos et Torah, this guy apostomos burnt the Torah. Ve'emid tzelem ba'echad, and he placed an idol in the temple. So these events, uvatal hatamid, the four, we have the first one, which is nishtabru haluchot, the tablets were breaking. Nishtabru, you can see it's a hit pa'el. First of all, secondly, you can see the nun at the beginning, which is a big difference here between rabbinic Hebrew and biblical Hebrew. In biblical Hebrew, it would have been hishtabru or nishberu. Either it would be in the nifal and not in the hitpael at all. But if it were to be in the hitpael, it would be hishtabru and not nishtabru. But again, slight changes, okay? Ve'emid tzelem ba'echal, you can see the he feel third person masculine singular, the hey at the beginning, then the cherik yod in he'emid. So again, that's a Mishnah, rabbinic Hebrew, but still our knowledge of biblical Hebrew helps us nicely here. Another interesting thing to know about Tammuz, why do we call it Tammuz? What's the meaning of this name? Anyone knows what is Tammuz? Who was Tammuz?
Foreign god.
A foreign god, right, a foreign god. Dumuzi was a Mesopotamian god, and god related to the summer. And yes, some of the names of the months in the Jewish tradition came with the exiles who returned to Judah from Babylon. and they returned with some of their conventions. For instance, the names of the months. Okay, so that's Tammuz. And sometimes people say to me, use the Hebrew date. Don't use the Gregorian calendar. Don't use like name of Roman gods. So I tell them, guys, dial it down a notch. These are Babylonian gods. They're not any better than the Roman gods, So yeah, I do take pride in keeping our own calendar, and obviously I keep the holidays according to the biblical calendars and everything. But I keep reminding people not to forget that the Hebrew calendar has these names of Babylonian, essentially Mesopotamian deities in it. Okay, so that's Dumuzi and Tammuz, and we're going to talk about two of these events. Okay, two of these events. Let's see. Okay, yeah, the tablets were shattered. Okay, so it's not that good that the tablets were shattered, obviously, but we can read about it and we can make the calculation. Okay, so I did not bring the first verse that should have been here, that the people of Israel came to the area on the third month. Okay, so they come to that area in the third month, and on the seventh day of this month, Moses goes to the mountain. Let's read the first verse here. Susanna, can you read the first verse, please?
ויבוא משה בתוך
בתוך.
הענן,
בתוך.
בתוך, okay. בתוך הענן, הענן, ועל אל ההר.
ויעל אל ההר.
ויעל אל ההר.
Okay.
ויהי.
Just a second, let's spread it around a little bit.
Okay.
Suzanne, can you read the second half of the verse?
ויהי משה בהר 40 יום ו40 לילה.
Okay, very good. So as we said, they receive the Ten Commandments. They hear the Ten Commandments on the 6th day of the third month. Some say on the 7th. And on the 7th day, Moses goes up to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. That's Exodus 24:18. Okay, and he stays there for 40 days and 40 nights. And then when he comes down, what happens? Let's see, Exodus 32, verse 19 at the bottom. So, Georgie, can you read the first half of this verse?
ויחיה כאשר קרב אל מחנה וירא את העגל
Umcholot, right, before the letters mem, bet, vav, or pei, because these letters themselves are bilabial consonants. The vav conjunction gets the u rather than the v. Okay? So that's why umcholot, vayaret ha'egel umcholot, also before a sheva. So this happens, and he sees the calf and the dancing. And let's see what Moses does. Mignonette, can you read the second half of this verse?
I wanted to ask a question. I guess you'll get to it sometime.
Who knows? Who knows? What's the
Sacrifices
question?
was, I wanted to know why the sacrifices were stopped. But anyhow, I'll read.
Because we don't have a temple and we don't sacrifice outside the temple.
No, that date.
Oh, I won't get into it. So it's a good question. I can send send me an email. If I find the time, I'll send you some reading material about it. I don't promise, okay? But
Okay.
I did not want to get into it because, first of all, it's not a biblical event. Not that I have a problem talking about post-biblical events, but you know, within the limitation of what I wanted to cover more, that is biblical context events, because we have a limited time, and I also wanted to talk about the question of should we fast, which is already a biblical. So I preferred dealing with the biblical material rather than the post-biblical material because of the benefit of biblical Hebrew, and that was my idea. So there you go.
Okay.
Second half of the verse, yeah, starting here.
Vayihar af Moshe vayashlek
Vayashlech.
medu
No.
me,
No.
meyadav
Yes.
et haluhot ve veshaver otam tahat hahar
Tachat hahar. Right. Okay. So here we have several. First of all, we have Vayitol verbs. You can see these are nice prose verses. So you can see the verbs nicely. Vayhi, opening an episode in a story. Vayar, and he saw. Vayichar, Vayashlech, and Vayshaber. Okay. All of these are third-person masculine singular forms of the Vayitol. And all of these, you can see the yod at the beginning following the va, and nothing at the end, which tells us morphologically that we're talking about the third-person masculine singular form of the Vayitol. And it also helps us kind of divide the story. You know, I oftentimes I mention this kind of a slideshow concept. So each vital verb is like a slide, not each, because we have exceptions for it. But in the biblical storytelling, you can see these vayhi pretty much like slides in when people used to come back from a trip, they would have slideshows, and every place they visited, everything, you know, they clicked, and then the slide machine would change the slide. So the Vayitol is a little bit like that in most cases. So you have one picture, Moses seeing the calf and the dancing. Another one, like zooming in on his face, you know, Moses angry. Another one, Moses is throwing, and another one, the tablets are broken. Like, if we're talking in slideshows, as a slideshow in slides. So these are the vital, third masculine singular. Ask yourself, guys, when you read the verses, ask yourself, what is the root, the binyan, the conjugation, and the subject? Okay, so for instance, with Vayashlech is a hifil, and Vayshaber is a piel. You can see the dagesh in the second root letter of the Vaishaber, and you can see the vowel following the first root letter of Vaishaber. Okay, Vayashlech miyadav et haluchot, Vaishaber otam tachat hahar. So after 40 days and 40 nights, it comes back. The date is today, 17th of Tammuz. Obviously, they did not call it Tammuz yet. They called it the 4th month, okay, because they started counting from Nisan. So the name of the month changed, but basically they called it the 4th month. But it was on the 17th day of that 4th month that he broke the tablets, okay? And this is one of the reasons, that we fast on that day. Any questions concerning this part, guys?
Nathaniel?
Yes.
Yeah, the first line you said that since the last word is a bilabial, instead of vav, it goes to vu.
Yes, I also said it happens before a Shiva. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Is there? It solves the problem?
Yes.
Okay, I said it happens before a bilabial consonant or before a Shiva. Okay. Any questions concerning the breaking of the tablets? If not, we're moving on to another event. And here we have a big question waiting for us. Very big question. I think it will be very evident very quickly. Let's read aloud this. And again, I want to see some hands. Guys, why do you care? Worst case scenario, you read bad and I correct you, and then you read a little bit better next time. Nothing would, happen if God forbid you mispronounce a consonant or a vowel. You'll just get better in reading Hebrew. Okay, it's not a contest, right? It's not a Hebrew reading contest. Yes. So, Surprise, would you read the first line, please?
Thank you. בחודש הרביעי.
בחודש הרביעי.
בחודש הרביעי.
Right, just a second before you continue. What is the Chodesh HaRevi'i? What is the 4th month? Right, if we start counting from the month of the Exodus, okay, then the 4th month is this month, the month in which we are now, okay, the month of Tammuz. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, according to the Second Temple period names of the month. But B'Chodesh HaRevi'i is this month in which we are now. Continue, please.
Okay. Bet Sha'ah לחודש ויחזק הרעב בעיר.
Ba'ir. So, right. Ba'chodesh, Ba'ir. Note that in both cases we have the definite article is incorporated into the prefix preposition. Okay? So it is in the month and in the city. And by the way, also in La Chodesh, of the month. Okay? So, Ba'chodesh, La Chodesh, Ba'ir. On the 4th month, on the 9th day of the month. It doesn't say they, it says simply on the 9th of the month, but contextually meaning on the 9th day of the month. Vayechezak hara'av ba'ir. So 9th of Tammuz, so to speak. Again, they called it still the 4th month. Okay, it would take them from this point 70 years to, go on exile and return and bring the names of the months with them. But at this moment, described in the book of Jeremiah, okay, what's happening here is the siege, the Babylonian siege. Vayechezak hara'av ba'ir. The famine became stronger. Vayechezak, it's a vital verb, okay. third person masculine singular. The famine, the Ra'ab, became strong throughout the city. Annette, could you read the second line? Annette?
Sorry, I accidentally put up my hand. Which one? The
Second line.
verse.
The second line, not the
Uh,
second verse. Starting here.
Okay. ולא היה לחם לעם הארץ.
Right. There was no bread for the people of the city, for the people of the land, literally. Okay. Wow. So when did it all happen? On the 9th. Okay. There was no bread for the people. And let's see the following verse. Elliot, are you still in the... oh, I see Esmeralda. Go ahead, Esmeralda. Would you like to read this line?
Please.
Sure. What?
Oh, I kind of, just a second. I was not clear. So Miranda, you read the next line, and Esmeralda, could you read this line?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, Batiba ka or ir ko anusai ansai hamil chama yefrachu vayetsu mehair.
Right, thank you very much. So what happened? Vatibaka ha'ir. Esmeralda, what is the binyan of Vatibaka? I'm just asking about the binyan. The root is bet kuf and ayin. The conjugation is a vayiktol, and the subject is third person feminine singular. What is the binyan?
The binyan.
Yes, Esmeralda, what is the binyan of this?
Nif'u.
Nif'al, very good. How do you know it's a nif'al?
Because of the patach underneath the bed.
No. First of all, there is
the dagesh, the strong
right,
dagesh in the bed.
right. The strong dagesh in the first root letter of this prefix conjugation. Very good, very good. Vatibaka ha'ir. Very good. So what happened on this day? The city was breached. What day of the month it is? The 9th day. So why did we read here that the city was breached on the 17th day? Why am I fasting? Should I fasted last week or last, few days ago? Am I completely wrong? Did I find it only today when I started looking at the evidence? Obviously not. Am I the first one to ask the question? Obviously not. Okay, but it's an interesting question. So let's finish the verse and then I'll explain what happened. So Miranda, can you read aloud the rest of the verse, please?
Sure. Laila derech sha'a bein ha-homotaim asher gan ha-melech.
Right. Oh, okay. And Elliot, can you read the last two short lines?
Yes. V'chasdim el ha'ir.
Al ha'ir.
Excuse me. Al ha'ir saviv. Vayelchu derek ha'arva.
Ha'arava.
Ha'arava.
Right. Right. You were reading better while driving. You should, drive always. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah, very good. You were doing it by heart when you were driving. You didn't really read, and it was, yeah. Okay, very good. So the city was breached, and all of the fighting men ran out and left the city on during the night through this uh, gate between the walls next to the garden of the king. And the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, which is the Babylonians, were around the city, and they went through the Arava, through the area of the wilderness, or the Arava. Now, 9th or 17th. So according to the Jewish tradition, according to the Jewish tradition, it happened on the 9th. So why am I fasting on the 17th? The answer is that it happened on the 17th with the second temple. And indeed, when they constituted this fast after the destruction of the first temple, they fasted on the 9th. They fasted on the 9th. Okay? But when this fast was later on updated, it was updated for the 17th. Okay, in the aftermath of the destruction of the second temple. So that's that. And you wouldn't do like one on the 9th, one on the 17th. You know, they kind of put the two together, 17th, and then they kind of aggregated bad stuff that happened around that time and put it together. But I want to ask you a question. Should we fast? Listen, the temple was destroyed. Yes, I understand. Sovereignty was lost. I understand. The people were exiled, but they came back, and then there was a second temple, and it was destroyed. And then we were in exile, but now we're back. So should we fast today in the modern state of Israel, where
Yes.
we have? So thank you very much, Rabbi Mignonette, but you are not my rabbi. So I don't have a rabbi. I should say I really don't. I don't have a rabbi. I make these decisions myself. But I have a good question here, and I'm not the first one to ask this question. You know what,
I thought you were
Mignonette?
just asking the question. Sorry, I didn't know
Yeah,
it was
no,
rhetorical.
I know. I was just making a joke. It's all right.
Can I say something?
Sure, you can.
Doesn't it say in another place in the Bible that the fast on the 4th and 5th month shall be happy days in the future?
I never heard about this verse. Never heard about it. No, I'm just kidding. It's on screen now. Suzanne? Yes. I said it is on screen now, the verse to which you were referring.
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
And I've heard
just a
that,
second. You were saying?
I've heard that this day of fast is an easier one, so you can drink. But the next one, which is Tisha B'Av,
that is incorrect. That is incorrect. No, we don't drink. There is no Jewish fasting in which you drink and not eat. Not really. No.
Okay.
But the difference is it's called one of the easy fasts because you don't start it at the night before, at the eve. You started from the morning, from the daybreak, as opposed to the 9th of Av, which starts at the eve of the day. That's the difference. This is why it's called one of the easy fast, or the not as light fast. Not because we drink. We don't drink. You'll have to take my word for it.
Okay.
I should say that there are other differences as well, but not the biggest difference. There are other differences as well. So the question of fasting or not fasting goes back to the early days of the Second Temple period, because the people who came back and founded the Second Temple in the time of the prophet Zechariah. The book of Zechariah is an interesting book. Maybe in the future, I'll teach maybe the book or parts of the book. And oftentimes, I remember Nati quoted from the book of Zechariah about 10 10 people of the nations holding the edges of the garment of one Jew. That is from the book of Zechariah, from the same really prophecy. And so they approach Zechariah in chapter 7 and 9 of 7 and 8 of the book of Zechariah are pretty much dealing with this question. Okay, and I don't know if we have much time for you to read, but I will read, and one of you will read the English, preferably Jerry. Would you read for us the English? I hope you. Yeah, you're with us. You'll read the English. I'll read the Hebrew, and you'll read the English. So I'm reading here from Zechariah 7:1-3. Vayehi bishnat arba leDaryavesh hamelech. The 4th year of Darius the king is the year 518, 20 years after the Cyrus declaration. The people are rebuilding the second temple, but they're not very happy about it. It's not as impressive. And this happens. היה דבר אדוני אל זכריה ב4 לחודש התשיעי בכסלו. The word, okay. וישלח בית אל שר עצר ורגם מלך ואנשיו לכלות את פני אדוני. לאמור אל הכהנים אשר לבית אדוני צבאות ואל הנביאים לאמור. And here in red, this is the question. The question is about the 9th of Av, but obviously it refers to all of those fast days that were constituted because of the destruction of the first temple. And the question is as follows. האבכה בחודש החמישי הנזר כאשר עשיתי זה כמה שנים. Jerry, would you read us the English, please? Jerry, your microphone is muted. Oh, he's not at station. Sorry. So we'll have someone else who wants to read. Lena, I saw your hand was up before. Did you want to read the Hebrew? And then it came down. Guys, I can read the English, but I want someone.
I'll read.
Go.
I'll read the English.
Go ahead, Carol.
Go ahead, Carol.
Okay. In the 4th year of King Darius, on the 4th day of the 9th month, Kislev, the word of the Lord came to Zechariah. When Bethel, Sharezer, and Regem Melech and his men sent to entreat the favor of the Lord and to address this inquiry to the priests of the house of the Lord and to the prophets, shall I weep and practice abstinence in the 5th month, as I have been doing all these years?
Right. So the fast of the 5th month, which is the 9th of Av, which we'll have in 3 weeks from today, is considered to be the most important fast that commemorates the destruction of the temple, the first temple in this case. But later on, again, aggregated both destructions together. And they're asking, should we continue fasting in this reality? Okay. And I think Zechariah was a little bit, I am a little bit like Zechariah. When a person asks me a question, I never give them a normal answer. Instead of like saying yes or no, this is a yes-no question. You can see the interrogative hey at the beginning. Ha-ev-ke. This is a yes-no question in biblical Hebrew. That's yes or no. But Zechariah is able to give them a yes-no answer over 2 chapters. Okay, so it's like when a student asks me a question, oh, listen, there is a background to it, there is history to it, there are different opinions, I should mention this, mention that. So Zechariah goes the same way, and he gives them an answer that is really more than just an answer. It's a big discussion and a prophecy and historical review. But everybody, this is the most memorable part. This is almost 2 chapters after. This is the chapter 8 already. Okay, not the beginning of 7, but verses 18 and 19 of verses of chapter 8. Beautiful verses. Again, I'll read the Hebrew, and then we'll see who gets to read the English. Vayhi devar Adonai tzevaot elai lemor. And the word of the Lord of hosts was to, why am I translating? I said that someone else. Okay. Vayhi devar Adonai tzevaot elai lemor. Ko amar Adonai tzevaot. Tzom harevii, v'tzom hachamishi, v'tzom hashvi'i, v'tzom ha'asiri, יהיה לבית יהודה לששון ולשמחה ולמועדים טובים. והאמת והשלום אהבו. Okay. Let's see. These, Lynn, would you read aloud the English here?
Sure. And the word of the Lord of hosts came to me, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, the fast of the 5th month, the fast of the 7th month, and the fast of the 10th month shall become occasions for joy and gladness, happy festivals for the house of Judah. But you must love honesty and integrity.
Right. I you know, it moves me, okay? Now, maybe I'm fasting today. I actually did something bad. Maybe I should have had a celebration, you know? The prophet says, on the month, 4th month, 5th month, 7th month, 10th month, all of these days of fast should become days of celebration. Some people, not many, but some, they fast half a day and celebrate half a day. Okay, very interesting. Or maybe they just fast half a day and then not fast the second half. It's a big discussion. It's a discussion that goes back to rabbinic literature, to Talmudic times. Again, we are not going to get into all of the details of it, but it's a good question. This year I fasted. Let's see what happens next year. I don't have to decide for all eternity. Right. So yeah.
Nathaniel,
Yes,
I have
Carol.
a question. I have a question about Moshe's behavior when he smashed the tablets. He kind of blew his cool, as it were. Was he ever called to order on that by Hashem?
Okay, so Moses did not get into Israel. Okay.
Right.
Right, and it says, because Ya'an lo ha'emantem bi lahakdisheni be'enei bnei Yisrael al mei merivat kadesh midbartzim. So there were other cases in which Moses lost his cool. I'm not sure that this was necessarily a negative one, the one that you've mentioned. But when Moses is saying to the people, listen, you rebellious people, Shim'una hamorim, okay, when he does not speak to the Craig, but hits the rock, instead of speaking to it, God said, speak to the rock. There are 2 occasions. The first one, God says you should hit the rock. And on the second occasion, we have you should speak to the rock. And Moses hits the rock in both occasions. And so there are certain places, there is no one perfect in the Bible, okay? And so Moses does have the points where he loses his cool. And yes, he doesn't get to lead the people into Israel. So that's a question that we should consider. What's the reason for that, except for what is explicitly mentioned? So
can I ask something about this verse?
Thank you.
It doesn't include the Yom Kippur fast.
No, because the Day of Atonement is a fast for a different reason.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not related to the destruction of the temple. So that is the only fast that will, let's say tomorrow morning there is a temple, the whole world is united. Like, imagine John Lennon style. I'm not a big fan, but let's assume I'm more like the whole world is united, Isaiah style. Okay, and even then the fast of Yom Kippur is not gonna it's not gonna be canceled. Okay.
But it's one of these months that
It
Yom
is
Kippur.
one of these months, right? It's the 7th month, but it's not one of the fasts that is mentioned. The 7th month fast that is mentioned here is on the 3rd day of the month, not on the 10th. It's what is known as Tzom Gedaliah, commemorating the death of Gedaliah, son of Achikam, who was really the last leader of Judea during that period. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, many questions. Let's see, guys. Russ, do you still have a question, or is it from before?
No, I still have the question. So how did the rabbis resolve the conundrum for Santa Claus and his elves in the North Pole when they should be fasting?
Oh, it's not the rabbis. I mentioned actually the Muslims having to
Right,
fast.
but what's the Jewish solution to
The
fasting?
Jewish, listen, Jews do not have a problem because they just have to do it one day at a time. You know, we don't have that many fasting days. So we have like the only the 17th of Tammuz would be a problem that way. And then one day you fast instead of fasting, let's say 14 hours or 15 hours, you fast 22 hours. It's not the end of the day. It's not the end of the world. Think about it. A regular Eve to Eve fast would be 24, 25 hours anyway. So it's not a big issue for the Jews. It's an issue for the Muslims because they have to fast like this throughout a whole month. And sometimes that month happens in the summer because, again, the Muslim calendar. And if it happens in the summer, in Northern Europe, they have to do it for a whole month.
So they haven't resolved it for.
No, I did not say they
for
have
the
not.
North Pole, where it's a 24-hour day or 24-hour
No, nobody
night.
lives in the. Yeah, it's Santa's problem, and Santa doesn't. He is not Jewish, neither Muslim, so he doesn't have a problem. That's why he got the North Pole, because he doesn't have to fast, right?
Malish.
Yeah, ma'alesh. You should ask him what he does during Lent. Right.
In the north of Sweden, there is 1 month that the sun never goes down.
Yes. So what is actually the definition of never going down, right? So that's why I mentioned Sweden as well, and it's a big discussion, but it's a discussion that is again more important for Muslim religion people. If I could have someone like that coming and explaining like a reform Muslim speaker, I would love it. Maybe we should try and get someone from Quilliam, speaking.
But
I have another question.
Yeah, Nancy, what's the question?
I wondered if the fasting had to do with Ezekiel 8:14. The vision that Ezekiel has, he brought me to the entrance of the north gate, and I saw women sitting.
No, they are no. Yeah, they are weeping the Tammuz. No. That has to do. Yeah, weeping for Tammuz has to do with the Near Eastern background. It's the death of Dumuzi and the cycle. If you know Hades and Persephone in the Greek mythology, then there is something equivalent in Near Eastern mythology, and the death of the Tammuz is part of the cycle of the year in the Near Eastern mythology, and not.
But this was in the temple. That's why it was such an abomination.
Yeah, right. The worship of a foreign god in the temple. Yeah, it's the same Tammuz that we've mentioned, but the background for understanding. No, completely unrelated.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nancy, Russ, Surprise, and last one, Georgie. Go ahead, Surprise. Surprise.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to like that fasting that Esther did for 3 days, no eating and no drinking. do you still do that, or?
No, we don't do that. We do 1 day instead of 3 days, and we don't do it exactly in the same date she did. We do it 1 day before the celebration of Purim. So in the eve of the celebration of Purim, we fast from the morning until the evening. Yes. So we do commemorate it, but we don't fast for 3 days. There is a good reason I look like this and not differently, because we just fast for 1 day. If I maybe for 3 days, it would have helped.
Actually, for the whole year, how many fasts do you do for the whole year?
So it depends. It depends. Essentially, 6, roughly 6, but some people do more. It's a complicated question. The rough number is 6. Okay.
Thank you.
It has
Thank you.
it, like with everything. I could have talked about this for a semester, but if you need one number to go with 6. Okay. Yes, and last, Georgie.
Yeah, my question was, you referred about the Tammuz, the word from Babylon.
Dumuzi, yeah.
Always I have thought about Egyptian vocabulary, like Moses, Pharaoh, they all were Egyptian words. So that time, did they also get any Egyptian words into the vocabulary?
There are some Egyptian words in the Bible. Some say that even Pinchas, our weekly portion name, the name of Phineas, is an Egyptian name. Okay, but Egyptian vocabulary is not very common in the Bible. But yes, there are some Egyptian words. Okay.
Okay.
Right. And Lynn, did you have a question? And nonetheless, I saw your hand up, down. You're more than welcome to ask.
No, I don't have any questions, thanks.
Okay, excellent. Just wanted to make sure. And as always, it has been a pleasure. Next week we have on, I will obviously send you the curriculum. We have a good friend coming on Monday to talk about Bet HaTefutzot. I don't know if you've heard about Bet HaTefutzot, but it's a very interesting institution in Israel. It's institution a bit like none other, in a sense. It's the Museum of the Jewish People at Bet HaTefutzot. It talks about different parts of the Jewish people in the diaspora, okay? And what they do there, the educational work that they do there. Jerry, good to have you back. I actually wanted you before. We needed someone with a radiophonic voice, but you were gone. Anyway, so that's for Monday. Tuesday, we have Lieutenant Colonel Eyal Dror coming to speak with us about his project at the Syrian border of Good Neighbors, humanitarian work that he did with the IDF in the Syrian border. And Wednesday, we'll have Ido Felsenthal coming back to talk about the Sunni and Shiite tension by popular vote. And I will make it, I enjoy the fact that he has a different opinion than mine. And so it is an interesting discussion there, even though he's the expert and I'm not an expert on that matter. Okay, guys, have a Shabbat Shalom. A beautiful Shabbat. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Bye-bye.
Shabbat Shalom. Toda Rabah.
Yeah, as always,
Shalom.
you make it possible, guys. It is you guys. Every one of you, who comes, who attends, who supports, makes it possible. Bye.